Reimagining Success, episode 240. You're listening to the Reimagining Success podcast, where we help you design a business and a life that allows you freedom from the 9 to 5. I'm your host, Anna Lundberg, ex-corporate good girl, now a business mentor and coach, author, mum of 2, and I'm here to help you create more freedom, flexibility, and fulfillment. Now let's get started with redefining success outside of the 9 to 5. Okay, hello everybody and welcome to this month's interview, and I'm really happy to say that I'm here with Alex Hernandez. Alex coming to us from, I think, sunny Spain. I'm also in sunny England, so can't complain. But Alex, why don't you introduce yourself and tell us what were you doing before and what are you doing now?
Hello, Anna. First of all, thanks for inviting me. So quickly to introduce myself. So I'm French, I'm 36. I live in Madrid now, where it's super sunny and super cold. After my studies in France and Spain, I actually moved to London without any plans whatsoever. And I ended up working in recruitment, traditional headhunting company. We stayed there almost 10 years, and moved to Paris for a year and a half until the day that I just had enough and quit my job without any plans. But I'll tell you later more details. And now I'm a co-founder of a startup called Jobgether, and we help people around the world to find a remote job.
Okay, love it. And you said twice there in your career you've made a big decision without any plans. So if you go back to the beginning, I suppose, what did you study and what were your thoughts at the beginning of your career and moving to London? Is that kind of just how you live your life? You don't have a plan, you see how things go, or how was that?
Yeah. I think actually probably the first time when I was 18, one day I told my mom I'm going to go to Barcelona tomorrow without any flat, any job. And I ended up there 4 months working as a waiter in a very cool restaurant. I guess I'm just like this, I don't want to overthink or overplan, things. Just go and see what happens. And I guess, when you try your luck, you end up lucky. And London, so I was already with my wife today. She's Spanish, and we were really bad at English. So we thought, let's go to an English-speaking country to learn English. And she got a job in London. So I was like, okay, let's go to London. And I moved there. My English was terrible. And did some waiter jobs for a few months, and ended up working in a recruitment company. Started at the bottom with very low income. I don't actually know how I was living in London with such a bad salary at the time, moved, and got promotion, and ended up being a manager, having like a 40 people team, and they sent me to Paris to become the country manager of the French office. That's what I did. Move there without any plans and try my luck.
But that sounds very successful in terms of traditional success. You started at the bottom, worked your way up, manager, moving countries and so on. So you said you suddenly felt that you'd had enough. Talk us through that. What changed over those 10 years, I suppose?
To be fair, I really had 10 good years with this company. But it was actually, we went on a trip to Costa Rica in December 2019. And I don't know if you've been there, but, they have a very different mindset, what they call pura vida. Just live the life, just enjoy life. And going back to Paris, I didn't like Paris. We just talked with my wife and was like, why are we in a city that we don't really like? Why are we in a job that we don't really like anymore? And let's quit. So the only plan that we had is, okay, let's move to Madrid, let's buy a house, and let's see. But what we didn't know is when we quit, a week later, COVID hit Europe, and the world, and we ended up in lockdown without anything. I didn't even, update my CV, like nothing. And when everyone was telling me, okay, you are in trouble enough, you quit your job, you have no employment benefits, just find a permanent job ASAP. And instead of that, I actually met someone through Zoom through like a recommendation of someone. So I met a guy called Juan, who's not Spanish, he's actually Belgian. And same age, he was a financial director for a big company in Colombia. And he was just going back to Belgium and had enough of his job, so also quit his job. And so we had 2 Zoom meetings of 2 hours, and we decided to start a business together. So obviously, when you start a business, you don't really earn any money, and technically, you do that with someone that you know, that's someone that you trust. But no, instead, we just started a business without knowing each other or even meeting each other. But we still work together 3 years later, and I think that's, for me, it's part of the beauty of the project, that just, taking risks and let's see. And I always thought to myself, what could happen? Okay, maybe that's not going to work, and I'm just going to go back to get a normal job, and that's fine, But
I love that you mentioned Costa Rica, because I went to Central America, I think in 2012, and then to South America the following year. There's something about the culture, isn't there? It's very different to this sort of Northern European mentality. I love it too. It's very appealing. I suppose, the podcast is called Reimagining Success. So during that time, did you ever think about what is success? When you were kind of climbing that corporate ladder, were you thinking, oh yes, I'm going to be manager, I'm really successful? When you then quit that, did you ever feel like a failure because you didn't have those things? How did you view success during these different transitions?
Yeah, it's funny because even I'm French, and between France and England, there are differences of what's success, in my opinion. And yes, I was really, my first job was in the UK. So I was raised professionally, in England. And success was, get a lot of money, go out, spend, your money, go to Las Vegas, go, all these things. And which I did, and I had a lot of fun doing it. But then I guess when you got older and, I had a daughter, so now I was 31, of course, priorities change, and success or the way you see success changes. And I think, that's normal. That's a good thing. And yes, earning money is good, but if you don't do something that you like, or if you don't live in a city that you like, what's the point? What's the point of having a lot of money? And I think, so this is what I was thinking, back in the days. And I think COVID and lockdown and the fact that everyone was just stuck at home for 3 months really made people realize that, life is short, really short. You don't know what could happen, like another COVID again or whatever. And just don't get stuck somewhere where you're not happy. And again, what's happiness? I think some people try to teach other people what's happiness, but I don't agree with that. I think you have your own version, you have your own definition of happiness. I have mine, and anyone, there are 7 billion people, or 6-something billion people, there are 7 billion definitions of happiness. What I actually did, I don't know if you know the book, the 4-Hour Week.
Yes.
Tim Ferriss.
Yeah, Tim Ferriss. Yeah.
I don't like everything about the book, but there are a few good things. And one thing that a guy said in the book is, usually you hear people say, I'm young, I've got a lot of energy, I'm just going to work hard until I'm like 50, 55, and then I'm going to do things that I enjoy. And what the guy says in the book is, why don't you do things that you enjoy now, when you are 30 or 25? And it really resonated in me that, what's the point of waiting? Now you're young, you have kids, you can do things with them. We went to Costa Rica with my daughter. She was 2 years old. And I guess a lot of people would have said, that's crazy. You can't go to Costa Rica with a 2-year-old kid. And we all had a pretty good time. And so that plus, this trip to Costa Rica, it really, made us realize that we were not happy enough to keep the same life. And an exercise that I did, I actually took a piece of paper. So it's a really easy exercise. You take a piece of paper and you just write down 10 things that make you happy. You just do it for yourself. You don't need to ask people's opinion. You just do it for yourself. And for me, there were things like, not getting on a tube in the morning, for example, or it was like just, go and ride my mountain bike at a weekend. And and spend time with my family more. And then at the end of this exercise, I realized that my life back in the time in Paris was not compatible with what made me happy. So I was like, okay, well, I was 33 or something. Yes, I had a really good job, really good salary. Everything from the outside was like really good, but still I quit my job. And now I live in a countryside just outside of Madrid. I've got a big house. I walk my daughter to school in the morning. I work fully remote. I can organize my days the way I want. I've never met so many interesting people, even though it's not always like in real life. And yeah, I think for me at least, between what makes me happy and what my life gives me, like it's a much better balance today. Even though, I went from like 6-figure salary to 0 for like 2 years, the first 2 years, and even not much today, but still, yes, we don't really go to the restaurants anymore. Yes, we don't really go on holidays anymore, but that's fine. Whereas before we were just going out like all the time, and that's fine. I find a much better balance today.
Yeah. Gosh, so many things to pick up on. I mean, Tim Ferriss's book, I agree. There were so many things I didn't like about it, but it's definitely, I think it was the start of a big trend, wasn't it? It was quite kind of pioneering and very appealing, although I think disingenuous. I don't think he works a 4-hour work week, but certainly there are some insights, right? Ridiculously, I watched this not very good film. I don't know if you've seen it, hopefully not, with George Clooney and Julia Roberts last night, Ticket to Paradise. It's a new one. It's their daughter quits her job as a lawyer to move to Bali, and then they say exactly the same. Why not be happy now as well? So lots of parallels. And in fact, the other one is, I'm just started reading last night the book, Mo Gawdat. He's written a book called Soul for Happy. His son tragically died, and he's looked at really being resilient and being happy even in difficult circumstances. And he did that exact same exercise, which was get a piece of paper, write down the things that make you happy. And it's so simple, isn't it? And it seems really cheesy, but I mean, that's what life is about. And as you say, there are so many stories of people who live work, and then unfortunately get a brain tumor, have a heart attack, whatever it is. And so, even now I'm beginning to realize I'm getting too old to do certain things. So, it's better to start enjoying it now. You sound like a really positive, resilient, confident person. Whether or not that's true, what is it that helps you when you have 0 salary and COVID hits and you've got the house and the kid in Costa Rica, all these things? What helps you feel positive and confident and have the faith and be resilient? Any tips for people who maybe struggle with those things? And people around you said were saying, oh my gosh, you've got to get a job. So what helps you to stay on your path?
No, that's true. I am very positive. And I think that's why I actually, take decisions like this of just going to a different country. And even if you don't speak the language, I always think that things will work out fine, And so at the time I had some savings in my bank account. My wife was working. And we just didn't do anything. Didn't go on holidays, didn't go to the restaurant, didn't do much, but I was fine. And of course, before quitting our jobs, we actually talked about it, and we knew that it would be, different. We also moved to Spain, which is a much cheaper, lifestyle compared to England or to France, for example. But again, I mean, of course, it's when I hear people being negative, or when I hear people telling me not to do something, I think that these people are actually scary, and they just transmit you they're
projecting their own fears, right? They're projecting their fears onto you. Yeah,
exactly. So I mean, again, don't be crazy and always think through what you want to do. But again, if you don't want to do something, you can always find an excuse for not doing it.
Yeah.
When I quit my job, I've heard like, oh, you're probably single. No, I'm actually married with a daughter. Or you probably have no mortgages. Oh yeah, I had like 4 and I just got a new one. So, and yes, you can always find an excuse. So I think if you have the confidence in yourself that you will succeed, yes, that will be difficult. And yes, that will be really difficult. And yes, you will be working harder than the rest of the people. But I don't see why it's not going to work, But yes, today people want everything. I sound very old saying that, but yes, people now want everything, straight away. They want to have really good salary straight away. They want to have the best role straight away. That just doesn't work like this, If you take risk, you will give up on a lot of things.
Okay.
And you will be earning. I was earning 0 for 2 years, but I guess that's part of the process to be successful. And if you're not ready to give up a lot of things, yes, don't take risk. Keep your safe permanent job, which is not a good thing. Some people want to keep the safe job, but I really think that we are much more scared than what we should be. Like sometimes, but I have kids. I can't move country. I have kids. My daughter learned Spanish. I mean, yeah, her mum is Spanish, but she was not speaking any word of Spanish when we moved to Spain. In like 2 months, she was speaking French Spanish, and now she's telling me that my Spanish is really bad, which is true.
Nice.
My Spanish is worse than hers, but and now she speaks French with a Spanish accent now. She completely switched, nationalities, and what if the company you will set up is not going to work? Just get a permanent job again. I think you can always go back to your old life if things don't work out. But again, every time I talk to someone who actually took risk, almost no one goes back to their life, to their previous life. So I think it's just don't listen to other people too much. Don't listen to them too much, because if they're scared, they will scare you and you will not do it.
Yeah. I think we look for external validation. I certainly am not the kind of person like you who would take decisions like that. So I'd ask people until somebody would tell me it's the right thing, but they won't. So that's the kind of decision that has to come from you, right? Unless you immerse yourself in positive communities of people who have taken those risks as well. It's an interesting point you said about the generations, because I think that's a whole other topic. But this idea of the younger entitled generations coming up, I'm quite curious as to Gen Z and so on, who I think are very enlightened in terms of understanding that it's not about the career ladder and so on. But you're right, if maybe the pendulum swings too far that way, then actually they're not putting in the work, they're not building the career capital and so on. So it's nuanced, isn't it? It's not that you can just move to Spain and live the perfect life, right? There's more to it than that.
Everything you see on social media, that's why I'm not on Instagram anymore, I'm not on Facebook anymore. Because it seems like you're just gonna, as you say, get a plane ticket to Bali and you will become like a digital nomad doing marketing and earn like $1,000 a day. No, that's not going to work like this. You will be struggling for 2 years. You will be eating rice for 2 years because you're going to have no money, and that's reality. And yes, moving your life, you will probably go back to earn less, maybe not travel anymore. But if you're ready to accept it. And again, if your priorities are not the ones that you had before, if you want to have more time with your family, why does it matter if you actually earn 20% or 50% less than before? So I guess, and again, you can't have everything. You just can't. You just can't have everything. So set up your priorities. Accept the fact that you will struggle. You will work hard, and the gains won't be immediate. You will, for me now, it's been like 3 years now. Now the company is doing good and I'm earning a bit more money. So now we can do, maybe going out a bit more and stuff, but it's a long process and a lot of people, could give up.
I think so, absolutely. I mean, most people give up in the first year, right? And I think, as you say, to actually get to 3, 4, 5 years in is takes a lot of grit and persistence. Coming to your business then, I think that's incredible that you met a guy on Zoom twice and then decided to become co-founders, because I've only ever heard perhaps negatively bad experiences of co-founders, and I have a bit of a bias towards having my own business. But can you talk us through the business model a little bit in brief? What is the business and how have you been building over the last 3 years or so?
Yeah, I mean, we as any startup, we change a lot of times, the business model, but no, when we actually talked for the first time, so he was coming from he was a financial director, so very different background, and I came from recruitment, but we both agreed that, so we were both 33 at the time. We both had a really good job, 6-figure salaries. From the outside, everything was perfect. But we both quit our job because we were not happy enough or happy anymore about our job. And what made us click and really connect was the fact that we wanted to help people find a job that a meaningful job for them. Because when you talk to people, it really seems, I don't really have the exact figures, but it really seems that I would say probably 2/3 of people are not really happy at work. Whether it's because they feel that their job is meaningless, whether they are commuting for 2 hours every morning, there are always reasons, but it seems that people are not really happy at work. So we were like, okay, let's try to build something to help people becoming, happy at work. Because at the end of the day, that's where you spend 7-8 hours a day. You spend more time with your colleagues than with your husband, wife, or kids. So if you do something that you don't like for 40 years, it's going to be really long. So we first had a matching algorithm helping. So the algorithm was applying to jobs on your behalf anonymously. So we had that product for a year and a half. We made some mistakes along the way. That was the first time we're setting up a company. And what happened is a year ago, exactly, January 2022. So we had a business running for 14 months, but we could see all these flexibility, remote, concepts, we could hear that a lot. And what we did, we actually talked to around 1,500 job seekers. And we asked them just one question. What is for you the most important criteria to look for a new job? 70% replied flexibility. The majority meant remote, but some people also mentioned the 4-day week, unlimited holidays, flexible hours. People want more flexibility, and people would rather take flexibility over salary now. And at the same time, these people were telling us, I want flexibility, I want remote, but I just don't know how to find it, because the way the job platforms work is, let's take your example, you want to find, I don't know, whatever, marketing position, you live in London and you want full remote. If you type that on the main platforms, you will find English-based company offering remote in England, which is fine. But why limiting yourself to work for an English-based company where you could potentially work for a Japanese company, an American company, a French company, whatever? Because remote work has no borders anymore. So what we build and what we launch in June, so it's been 7-8 months now, is a search engine dedicated purely to remote work. And it's not based on the company's location anymore, it's based on the candidate's location. So if I retake the same example, you live in London, you are looking for a marketing position, you will be typing marketing England, and you will see job offers from companies able to hire you from England. Whether the company is American, Colombian, French, doesn't really matter. And at least the only pure remote jobs, they're not hybrid positions, it's purely remote. And 6 months later, we have 1.5 million visitors on the website. We have companies from a lot of different countries, sponsoring the offers. We have 70,000 remote job offers on the website, and really helping talents find a job remotely, but also helping companies find talents remotely.
And is it the companies who are paying then? You said they're sponsoring, or do candidates also pay? How is it monetized?
The candidate doesn't pay anything. Okay. It's free for the candidates, and it will always be free. The companies are paying to sponsor the job offers if they want.
Okay.
And actually us, we are also a remote company. We are 22 people. So now we are 2 more founders. So we are 2 in Spain, 1 in Belgium, and 1 in Colombia. These are the 4 founders. And we have people in Australia, Thailand, Dominican Republic, Venezuela, Italy, Portugal. Yeah, we have a lot of countries, a lot of people in a lot of countries.
And do you have investors?
Yeah, we do. Yeah, we have business angels, mostly from Belgium. And but yeah, we are really global company, and that's what we want to be, and we want to keep working with companies from a lot of different countries. We want to keep and traffic. We have traffic from Asia, South America, North America, Africa, Europe. We really have a global traffic as well.
And funnily enough, we mentioned marketing as a job there, and we talk about, you said that you're not on Facebook and Instagram. So I'm just curious, in terms of, do you build your brand as the founder, or is it more about the platform? How do you see that from a branding and marketing perspective?
So for me, I only use LinkedIn, and I use LinkedIn a lot, and I build my brand on LinkedIn. So I would just publish every day. As a company, we do marketing on Instagram, Facebook, TikTok, LinkedIn. These are the four main platforms that we use. But I'm not in charge of marketing, so I couldn't really give you much details.
No, but as the founder, because I know you mentioned before we started recording that you spoke at a conference, for example. So is that something, are you around sort of evangelizing the concept of remote work and so on?
Yes, a lot, because what I realize is even though a lot more people want to take this route of becoming more flexible, more remote, now people want to travel with the kids. And there are now options and companies helping families traveling with kids, for example. But at the same time, just people don't know where to start. Yes, I've got a remote jobs. I can travel to South America, but how my kids are going to go to school, for example. They just have no clue because it's so new. And I don't think COVID actually changed things. I think COVID accelerated things in a way that we moved from a very, office-based life to like a work from anywhere, really. But, if you go to a different country, you need to look for insurances. Oh, how does it work? How to get a job there? How to get a house? How to get a school? So I really want to, help people get to understand how to take this new life, which is, everything is possible. It's not too complicated to get this remote life. You just need to find the right tools and the right companies to help you out. So that's why I'm communicating a lot about it.
Right. Well, it's just the unknown, isn't it? Because it just feels a bit scary to people who perhaps don't have your same sense of throwing themselves into the unknown and not knowing really. And for me, again, it's been 10 years now since I quit. And initially that was a huge, scary decision, but it's very easy over time. I mean, my comfort zone has changed now, but it's easy for that to shrink again because having been nomadic for some years, I then settled down in London. We're now building sort of our dream home and I've got children, and it's easy to forget that whole world of possibilities. So it's good to have that reminder. I guess final question in terms of, we talk about remote work and that balance and so on. What does your working week and life in Spain look like with your daughter? How many hours are you working? Sort of, how do you set it up?
I work a lot. I work much more than before. I guess that's also, part of being a founder of a startup. Our employees don't work as much as we do. I'm not a morning person, so I would wake up at 8:00. I'm just going to move a bit because it's been noisy here. Yeah, so I would wake up at 8:00 and I will wake up my daughter at 8:00. She's not a morning person either. And because my wife leaves for work at like 7:15 or something. So we just spend time with my daughter. We'll just have breakfast together and then we'll just walk to school, which is like a 15 minutes walk. But that's nice because, she would wake up much better because she's just walking on or getting her scooter to go to school. And I will just spend time with her. We're going with neighbors. They have kids as well. So we go all together. And then, we'll just start work around like 9:30. And people know, you're not going to reach out to me before 9:30. I'll always try to take an hour lunch. I like to cook. I'll always try to cook, eat something, not too bad. And I will stop at around 4:30 to pick up my daughter at school. Usually when we go back home, it's like 5:15. I would just walk for like 45 more minutes and then try to stop between 7 and 9. Spend time with her, have dinner all together. And usually I like to work late, so work from 9 to 11 or something. Okay. I don't plan to work like this all my life. This is still the beginning of the company and we still have to do a lot of things. But at the same time, if I want to go to the gym at like 3 p.m. for 2 hours, I go to the gym at 3 p.m. I don't ask anything to anyone, I just do it. On Friday, I try to finish early, like at 4:00 something. And what's good is, for example, on over the weekend, I was in Lisbon with my friends, and I arrived quite early on Friday morning. So I just walked remotely from Lisbon until my friends arrived like 2 p.m. So yeah, I really walk the way I want, you know, and that's cool, you know. I try to take holidays. Sometimes, you know, I feel tired. If I don't have any meetings, we'll just take the morning off because I need to. And I guess that's a big perk of, you know, working remote, and we have like unlimited holiday option at a company. You just take days off when you need them, you know.
Yeah. So, I mean, you say you work really hard and hard on the employees, but it still sounds quite nice, you know, starting work at 9:30, being able to take time off, having the flexibility.
Yeah.
So it's a slower pace than if you were doing those same hours, I suppose, in London. I have friends who are stressed, hate their work, working late into the evening after kids' bedtime and so on. And that sounds very different to the way you're describing your life in Spain.
I mean, exactly. When I say I work probably in terms of hours, like longer hours than I was working in London or Paris. But in London, for example, because we were starting at 8 o'clock and I had an hour and a half tube journey, I was leaving home at 6:15.
Yeah.
And same in the evening. So I was leaving at 6:15, going back probably like almost 9 o'clock, just no time for anything. And now, because I would structure my days the way I want, and at the end of the day, I will spend more time with my family. I will go to the gym. I would, you know, once per week, I usually go to the co-working in Madrid to see people and see friends. And yes, so I'm working longer hours, but at the same time, I'm doing a lot more of my personal stuff, you know. So again, remote work, in my case at least, and I really believe that is really helps you to organize and structure the day the way you want and really combine your professional and personal life, which is what everyone wants, you know.
Yeah, that for me, that's sort of the work-life integration concept that is more powerful, I think, than balance. I guess it all ties in so beautifully because the work you do and the business and your lifestyle. But what's your vision for yourself, but also for the world of remote work? How do you see the next few years evolving?
I mean, first of all, we would like as a company to move to the four-day week. Because there are many, you know, surveys showing that you actually don't lose in productivity and the same work is done. So we really want to move to that. Regarding, you know, the future of work and remote, yes, full remote is not for everyone. I fully accept that, especially for younger people. They usually, you know, live in smaller places. You know, if you live in a very small studio, you don't want to be, you know, stuck in it like all day. And they also need to get, you know, to learn, and they maybe want to be next to the managers to learn more, which I fully understand. But in my opinion, is today a company can't force people to come to an office 5 days a week.
Agree.
You know, and I think the future of work will be, you know, much more choice. Because why a manager? Because maybe that guy or that woman is single and has no kid and has life, wants to go 5 days in the office, would force people to do the same. You know, everyone is different. Everyone has a different life, and let just people choose. You know, and I think yes, remote will change things, but yeah, again, much more than remote is really flexibility and choice to people.
Yeah, I love that. And as you said, coming full circle, it's so personal what happiness looks like to you, what success is, what flexibility is.
Yeah.
Amazing. Thank you so much for sharing your personal journey as well as the bigger picture. Where can we find your company, and whether it's a company who wants to hire remotely or an individual who wants to find a remote job, where can we find out more?
So to find me, the easiest is LinkedIn, Alex Hernandez on LinkedIn. And the company, Jobgether.com. That's the website where you can find all the jobs. So if you are looking for a remote job, you can just have a look. You can set up alerts for jobs. And we, as I said, we're adding 2,000 new jobs every day. So they're always going to be, you know, new opportunities. And again, you know, social media, you look out for Jobgether on TikTok, Instagram, you will find us as well.
Nice. So you don't have to be on there, but your marketing team takes care of it. I like it. It's the way to do it. Yeah,
exactly.
But outsourcing the things you don't enjoy. Okay. Well, thank you so much for sharing. We'll link to all that as well. But I'm really looking forward to sharing your story. Thank you, Alex, again for sharing. I'm sure that was inspiring to many, and definitely signals the shift that's happening, and hopefully towards the better, more flexibility, fewer days, fewer stress, and more balance for everybody. Thanks so much.
Thank you, Anna, for inviting me. It was a really nice chat.
Such a pleasure. Thank you.
Bye-bye.
The Outsiders Business Academy is a self-paced course for you to work through in your own time to learn and implement the foundations of building a profitable business that lets you escape the 9-to-5. So if you're full of great ideas but lack the knowledge and experience to turn them into a viable business that will actually support your desired lifestyle, or you feel like you're doing all the right things and yet you're just not getting the traction and results that you're after, you have come to the right place. I'm here to help you design a profitable and enjoyable business that gives you freedom from the 9-to-5. Register for the Academy and get started learning today at onestepoutside.com/course. That's onestepoutside.com/course.